Hello, beautiful soul family. Rebecca here, your vibe mentor. Welcome to Monday Magic Intuitive Energy Reading, where we sort of tap in and just kind of rehash what did we just experience, what's going on right now, and what is the guidance to help us navigate what we are experiencing. So last week, I'm happy to say the solar weather finally calmed down. We had a pretty calm week, a few C-class solar flares here and there, one M-class. We did peak one time at a KP5, but that was relatively mild, something I discovered after the fact. So it really didn't hit me pretty hard. I know that there is some intensity, even though the solar weather was calm and the Schumann was relatively calm, but there was still some busyness. But I would say it was, relatively speaking, less intense than it has been over the last prior 3 weeks before that. So that's a much needed break. I think a lot of people needed that. So it really was a relatively softer week. Again, relatively speaking, of course. In general, the intensity, the trajectory of the energy continues to move forward pretty quickly. And it seems that at times we tend to need those breaks where we get a little bit of a break before we step back into moving fast and furious again. So earlier part, mid part of the week last week was relatively softer, again, relative. But then of course, the intensity started to build again over the weekend. There was a sense during the week for me that there was still this just flavor of something coming, something building. And it felt a little bit like the calm before the storm. It was kind of like that eerie stillness, where it just kind of had this feeling of like, what's coming. And of course, as we all know, the intensity increased over the weekend and things broke out in Israel. So I really want to be careful to say I don't take sides. I choose to be neutral. My heart goes out to anyone who is experiencing any kind of repercussion based on what is happening. And I don't want to be insensitive when what I'm going to say here. So I want you to know that I am really putting conscious effort into not being insensitive. And yet some of the things I say could be offensive to someone who is committed to being activated by the situation. So we have to be careful where we allow our focus to go. Where we focus grows, what we resist persists. And so it is illogical to fight the way that we are called to by source. And oftentimes giving excessive focus and attention to something that is not positive can help that grow. And so I want to, in my own life, I'm not going to tell people what to do, what you should do, or what is right for you to do. That's very much sort of the general theme of what is coming through is all paths lead home. And you are on your path, and I will honor and respect that. But I will tell you what is working for me and what I am being called to. Now, I view this situation as the image that I had was sort of like dripping wax. It was what I saw in my mind's eye was that wax figurine that you can buy at the zoo. And, the two metal plates come together and they form maybe a giraffe or an elephant or something of that nature. And if you were to take that wax figurine to a fire and melt that wax, it's sort of the melting down of that figure is what I saw in my mind's eye. And it feels like that is what's happening in the world today, that the structures are obviously not working and there's a lot of corruption that needs to be addressed. And life, God, source, creator, divine, universe, whatever you want to say, is melting down what is not working. And that doesn't look pretty on the outside, that it can seem scary. And it can seem to some fear the very end of their existence, the very end of the world itself. And yet I don't have a sense of that. It is very easy to create a lot of fear if you are looking around you at the things crumbling around you. And yet when you pull within, everything's okay for the vast majority of us. Again, I do not in any way want to diminish the pain and suffering for those who are literally standing in the war zone. I certainly am sending as much love and prayers as I can without giving too much focus and attention. Right. So we have to be careful to to recognize that the way it seems like we should fight or we should resist is a very 3D perspective. And the way that we assist or make things better is by keeping our eyes on God, by staying focused on the divine, by healing our own wounds, removing our traumas, working with the shadows inside of us, because as within, so without. We have collectively created this, and we can collectively create something new, but it starts within. I love the German proverb, as you know, if you follow me, sweep in front of your own door. The work is inside. It is not out there, because out there was created by what is in us. So we are moving towards a beautiful new world. We are moving towards oneness. And I have a very strong sense. If you follow me, you know, I'm very hesitant to predict things. Obviously, things are changing all the time, and I don't even want to use that as the excuse. But there are certain things that I just know. And one of my clairs is knowing. And there are times where I just know beyond a shadow of a doubt certain things. And I know, obviously, we all know we're moving towards oneness. Well, not everyone, but most of you here. But it's coming faster than we believe, faster than we think. It is just around the corner. And yet, in order to get there, we are going to have to completely melt down the wax figurine. It will have to dissolve. And yet, you don't have to be scorched in that fire. You don't have to be burned by that wax. You can create in you safety. And that is very much what I teach through all of the trauma spotting and trauma work that I do. And all these videos is really designed to help you find safety within yourself, clean up that internal environment that is creating more of the same, more of what we don't want, so that you can start to assist in creating heaven on earth. We are moving towards oneness very, very, very quickly. I have a sense that it is going to come in the next handful of years. I don't think more than 10, probably less, and I realize that's a stretch because no one knows how this is going to go. But I have a strong feeling, a strong sense that it is not as far off as we might think it is. So in order to get to oneness, it's almost as if separation has to be amplified. The pain has to be amplified. Collectively, the world, the collective, needs to go through a dark night of the soul, a near-death experience, to be able to shake us to the point of recognizing that all of this fighting and all of this corruption and all of this deception is not helpful. It's not doing anybody any good. And so when we are pushed to the brink, that's when we wake up. Most of us, many of us, we'll leave it there, have gone through some sort of dark night of the soul. You know what it's like to come to this place where you say, enough is enough is enough. I am done. I'm not doing this anymore. That is what needs to happen to the collective, to wake people up. And the beauty is that this solar eclipse that's coming on the 14th, 14th? Yes, because it's right after Friday the 13th. Look at that coincidence. It's coming on the 14th. I love the time of 1:55 Eastern. If you look at the numerology of that, change is coming. Focus on your thoughts. It is in Libra, which is a sign of balance and justice and interdependence and partnership and diplomacy. Of course, these things have long cycles, so it's not like magically on the 14th, everything's going to be great, but we are moving in that direction. It is not, it's something that can be stopped. This is like a massive train barreling down the tracks, and it's you get out of the way, get on board so you don't get run over, because whatever needs to happen to wake you up is going to happen. And I also love that this eclipse cycle and the current eclipse season that we're moving into is the me versus we axis, right? So Aries can be very self-focused, Aries sun here, so I will claim the me focus. That's also a trauma response, by the way, for anybody who feels like we have this incessant focus on taking care of ourselves versus others. But the we axis, we are moving from the me to the we are moving towards oneness. And I have this very strong sense, and I will never say that what is happening in Israel is a bad thing. My heart goes out to the people, or a good thing. My heart goes out to the people who are hurting. And what I'm trying to say is I would not advocate for what is happening there. So I just want to clarify, because that kind of came out funny, but I do have this strong sense of it has begun. that they're the beginning of the end. And we've been in the beginning of the end. We've been in this process, 2008, 2012, you could go all the way back, right? This whole life cycle, this whole globe is always in the process. But I very much strongly feel that this has kicked off something that is going to catapult us even faster, as if things were not moving fast enough. So we are moving faster and faster towards our destination. And this is sort of a feeling of kickoff. I'll just leave it there. So again, the guidance is focus on your healing, learn to thrive amongst the chaos. That is possible. For me, trauma spotting, somatic healing therapies has made that possible for me. I've noticed there's a quality over the last week or so of recognizing that all paths lead home, that we as humanity tend to look for the one right way. This is right, I'm right and you're wrong, and I know and you don't know, and what worked for me must work for you. And so I really want to be careful about how I deliver that message going forward. In trauma spotting, we stay in the tail of the comet, which means the client leads. No one has access to your guidance system, your internal compass that says, yes, this is right, or no, this is wrong. Again, sweeping in front of your own door means what's right for you. Take care of your own stuff, mind your own business, really, and let other people do what they need to do, because at the end of the day, it is up to the individual and their relationship with their creator as to how they're to move through life. And it is not our place to judge, and it's not my place to say trauma spotting is the only way. And so I really want to be careful about, I want to lead by example, right? If I'm delivering this message, I have to live it too. And so why I say that is because we can learn to thrive amongst the chaos. We can find stillness in the eye of the storm. We can create safety and meet all of our needs within our own internal being. Now, trauma spotting might be the way for you. That's what it took for me, but whatever is right for you, you will be led to, and just trust that. But know that there is safety. Do not, Matt, careful. I don't want to, I am told and I am guided to not have limiting beliefs, that if my creator can create everything I see here, there is nothing off the table. There is infinite potential. And I'm the only one that can create a block and a barrier by saying, I can't be happy in the middle of the chaos. I can't thrive in the middle of the storm. I can't allow myself to experience good things when other people are suffering. And it's tricky because who am I? Who am I? A privileged white girl in a beautiful home and safe place, and there are not bombs going off around me. Who am I to sit here and preach and tell people you should be happy in the eye of the storm? I have been in very ugly places and very ugly situations in life, and it was not easy to have stillness in the eye of the storm. So I am not saying that I've got it all figured out and I can tell you how to do that, but I do know it's possible. And I know because that's the message that is being offered through me today. And I can't claim to be able to have perfect stillness with bombs going off all around me, but I know that we are called to it. And so that tells us we can. It makes me think of the biblical stories of, the guys thrown in the fiery furnace, or the Daniel on the lion's den, right? If there's lions about to bite your head off, or there's a burning fire literally scorching the hair on your skin, those people were able to find calmness and stillness in the eye of the storm, or in the midst of the chaos. So someone has done it. And I have a general sense of how to do that through what I've gone through. Trauma spotting has made it more possible to be amidst the chaos and not melt like I used to. So I know that it is possible, and there are skills that I could teach you, but that's not the point of this video. Anyways, let's move on. When we stand still in the eye of the storm, we help ground the collective. We are sort of the pillar. We are the backbone of the collective. Those of us who are awake and aware and tapped in and following our guidance and stepping into our purpose and doing what we're called to on a daily basis. The bad guys, the evil energies, whatever you want to call it, they can't reach us when we elevate. And so this kind of goes back to, I can't live a good life while other people are suffering, that I somehow am helping them by suffering too. That's actually false. That it seems illogical the way we help, the way we support, It seems illogical that my being happy and embracing the beautiful gifts that Source has offered, it seems that that could be deemed selfish, that could be deemed entitled. But really, as I raise my vibration, I help lift others, right? The tide rises all boats. So the more of us that help by cleaning up our internal environment, stepping into our purpose and following our guidance, we are actually lifting those around us. As we heal, we allow people to see our light, we can bring light in the darkness. So do not fear. That one came through like in all caps. Do not fear. Do not fear. It's hard, I know, but we must keep our eyes focused on the divine, focused on our creator, focused on God, trusting that all roads lead home, that you don't have to worry about everybody else. It's not your job. You're trying to do God's job when you're trying to control everybody else or to try to fix all the problems. You're only called to fixing your own internal environment and loving on and supporting those around you. All roads lead home. Trust their path. Trust God's got this, right? There's a lot of emotions being thrown around. We've been in this sort of hyper defensive, hypersensitive culture for a while now, but it seems it's happening more and more every day. People are married to and committed to their big emotions, their big opinions. I'm entitled and I'm offended and I'm, self-righteous, whatever it is. It just look at these big emotions flying around you as things that can come and go. They don't have to affect you. They are not yours. It is not your job to keep people happy or to make people happy. If someone is unhappy, it's not because of you. It is not your fault and it is not your job to fix. And so again, it goes back to cleaning up the internal environment so that you can stand strong, so that as these big emotions get thrown around or maybe even at you, people point the finger, don't listen to her and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's not about them. It's about me and my relationship with my creator. And when I know that I'm in the right place, that's unshakable. And you can do that too. Let that crap fly around you without owning it, without holding it, without taking responsibility for it, right? Get strong and get grounded. This is another continuing theme that has been happening over the last couple of weeks. I'm feeling it even more strongly every day, very much coming through with like, we're going to do a couple of these things to really reduce some inflammation, to get more active, to build in more time for raising vibration, do all the things that you need to do to get strong mentally, emotionally, and physically. Remember, again, I said this earlier, as we're saying again, where your focus grows, where your focus goes, grows. What do you want to grow in your life? And what you resist persists. So what are you resisting? And do you want that to persist? Use your energy wisely. Remember, we are in a focus and attention economy. There's a reason your phone has all of those dings and bells and whistles. It's attention grabbing, constant. The more they can control your attention, the more they can control what is created. So you really want to take back your power and authority by controlling your inputs. Don't listen to the fear mongering. Don't listen to the horrible, scary stories. Focus on raising your vibration and healing yourself so that you can be strong for the support for the collective that is needed, right? This is how we fight. It is fight, right? We don't fight. We love. We focus on healing and growth. And it seems counterintuitive, but we want to kind of look at that statement by Einstein. If you continue to do the same thing over and over, expecting a different result, that is the definition of insanity. So the way, look at your life. Is it working? Is it working for you? And if it's not working, it might be time to consider a new strategy. Remember that things are not as they seem. Everything is energy. And you may look at this solid wall in front of you and say that is a solid wall, but actually it is energy. And if you were to match the frequency of it, you would be able to pass through it. There is a lot of things that look scary out there that are not really as much of a threat as they may seem. And we want to, again, trust the divine is in control. Everything is going according to plan. We are moving towards oneness faster than ever. And the focus on yourself and your healing is going to help elevate you above a level where any of it can touch you anyways, right? So just remain committed to rising, remain committed to healing. Don't cling to what is or what was. There was a feeling of like sentimentality over the last week. just this feeling of knowing that we've stepped into something new. We are in a new world, that, the beginning of the end has begun. And there was almost a sense of reminiscence. And so that's fine. That's great to have gratitude and appreciation for the past, but just remember not to cling to what was, that things are changing very quickly. We don't know what they're changing into. And so we cause ourselves suffering and pain when we cling to the past, or how we expected it to be, or we expected it to go. So let go. And this is sort of my last piece here. When that came through, the analogy of a person getting in a car accident came to mind, that if you are bracing and you have that point of impact, you actually suffer more physical internal damage when you are braced than if you are fully relaxed. I heard the story. I didn't see it for myself, so I can't say that it was 100% true, but I heard that there was a Buddhist monk who had spent most of his life meditating. And when he was in a car accident, he was so completely relaxed, there was no adrenaline to be found in his body. Of course, he did pass, but his body was relatively unscathed relative to the accident and what you would expect from someone like that. So if you are bracing for impact as we go through these shifts and changes, you will suffer more. There's also the term pain plus resistance equals suffering. We can have a little bit of momentary pain, and that can move through us. We don't have to suffer. It is the holding on to and the clinging. It also reminds me of giving birth. For those women out there, you know that if you are in resistance to, if you're clenching and you're holding on and you're pushing against the pain, you actually suffer more. You feel more pain. I did something called hypno babies or hypnobirth, and it was the relaxing of the body that allowed the contractions to happen, that there was a full expansion. There's not as much of an expansion when we are in the resistance. And so that very much feels like what we are about to experience is it's going to look messy. It's going to look like your wax figurine from the zoo is being melted and lit on fire. But as that wax melts into a puddle, what happens is you then have a whole new tray of fresh wax to build a new world. And unity and oneness is what we're moving towards. So we know that's going to be a beautiful new world. So don't resist. Don't resist. Don't fear. Keep your eyes on God. Know that all is well, and we are moving exactly as we need to move in the path we need to move in, right? Towards beautiful oneness. All right. I love you, my friends. I hope you are all doing well. Sending you lots of love, and I will see you on the next video. Namaste.